Welcome everybody to this episode of Strong Perspective Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Keith Armstrong, along with
Uncle spoke.
our esteemed counterpart. Uh, is he won't be joining us tonight? You know what I mean? Because when you're busy, you're busy. You know what I mean? So, bro, we miss you, but enjoy your evening. Um, Welcome to you, sir. You know what I mean? It was an adventure. It was an adventure last week because I was on my phone. I wasn't really used to my phone. But I think it was a great show because got a lot of feedback. People called me and talked about their style of parenting. You know, I thought Damon was very good at letting us know what he feels his parenting style, and he was thorough with it, and I felt that. You know what I mean? And I gave my counter, and I thought we both did a good job in letting people know, how we saw things because it's different ways to be parenting your child as long as you love them. See,
Right.
that's my thing. Like if you love them and if you have the greatest intention for them, you know what I mean? I think that is a beautiful thing. So, what you think about it, Jacquard?
And I think it was it was cool, man. Both guys had an opportunity to articulate your points as best you could. I think you know if you've seen it, it would seem like at one point a snag was hit. But we navigate, and we usually do. You had your side. Damon had his side, and I rode the fence. So
I mean, look, and the things that you contributed um, were great. Shit, it was very introspective in your comment because even though you are I hate the word stepfather, but you raised your daughter, you I know what kind of loving parent you were and still are. You know what I'm saying? So we gave three different points of views.
hmm
I think it could resonate on people if you sat down. The snag you're talking about was in which I wasn't intentionally trying to do was debating the better parenting style. You can't to me you can't debate it because it's what you're comfortable with.
right.
And I had to explain that to Damon. I was like, look, hold on, man. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that at all. But can I tell you how I feel? And then, because what I ended up doing was what? Hey, I think we hit an impasse.
Yeah. Sometimes that's got to happen, man. Sometimes all parties involved, especially in the civil conversation, man, got to come to the realization that if you weren't trying to fix the problem, in the beginning, if you
Yeah.
could, it's really not going to happen now. Now that we're at loggerheads.
Now, when they're grown, no.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
interesting uh, fun fact, man. You know what a loggerhead is?
no.
A loggerhead is a stubborn. It's a snapping turtle, but it's
Mm,
stubborn. It's stubborn as hell. And once it grabs a hold of something, they won't let it go.
yeah.
People say we're a loggerhead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun fact like a motherfucker, boy.
Fun fact.
Um, I think, and you're just talking about it, it's good to have conversation, man. See, and I really and truly, we emphasize that every episode. We're not about being right, but being correct in how we feel. Not about being right about a subject, but being correct on how we feel about that subject. because that's all we can ask. I think. Now, there's moments when you gotta win a debate. You know what I'm saying? And then you're right, and somebody else is wrong. Oh yeah, there's many of those moments. But a platform like this, what we try to do is educate. You know,
Mhm.
and our form of education is through communication. Because, and you tell me how you feel about this. The three of us get along,
Mhm.
right? But we debate. And sometimes, you
Absolutely,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely. For me, the issue whether or not I'm right or wrong really doesn't even factor into it, man. It's the exercise of actually, uh, trying to engage. You know, this is a workout for us. It's a mental workout for us. It's like, we doing repetitions, man, and flexing the brain muscles
Yeah.
and such. So I mean, if it gets hot, can you stand it? If you can't stand it, can you move on amicably? That's where a lot of people fail, man. They have one single issue, and they can't cross the bridge on that issue. So as far as they're concerned, the other person is looked upon as an opponent
Yeah.
who's standing in the middle of that bridge and won't let them pass. So they think, they got to batter their way past. That's never going to happen because if your responsibility is to defend this bridge, it could be 100 people behind you. If the bridge is narrow enough, you can defend that bridge if you're by yourself.
Yeah.
If the passageway is narrow enough, you can defend it against one person can defend it against 100 easily. All you gotta do is just move to the side, move to the side, move to the side, adjust himself as he sees fit, and he ain't got to move. And that's what you run into when you have a person who just wants to revel in the excitement of fucking bickering and shit,
And
and
then,
you have and you have a person who really really wants to drive a point home or even make a point.
and you know what? I can honestly say when I was younger, I enjoyed not the debate, the argument. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it. And it really had to do with an alpha macho way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And really and truly, what it was doing was just sharpening my verbal skills. Like, yeah, yeah, it really and truly, it really and truly always felt that way to me. You know, then I got older, maybe because I had a son and I didn't instantly mature, but I understood that I had somebody that I had to raise.
Mhm.
I'm saying raised in the way that I was raised, which was not perfect. For I mean, for a real stretch, was not perfect, right?
Mhm.
You were there, Jaquan, you know what I mean. But the communicating part was there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I grabbed onto.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if I know you got a chance to look at the heading on Facebook, Jaquari, of this episode,
Mhm.
and let me make sure that I get it right. Broken the bit, broken to built black stories. You know what I'm saying?
Broken
Broken to
to
built.
build black.
That's the subject of the black story, and really that that I think I was just surfing through, just trying to understand what I was trying to bring forth to you and Damon today, because that's what I do throughout the week. It's something that we can really sink our teeth into.
Mhm.
But I understand from broken to built. And I hope everyone who's listening understands that. And please feel free, Diane, Eric, love y'all. Feel free to hit us in the chat. And if you have something to say, make sure you say it so we can respond to it, because this is, even though Jaquari and I are on this screen, right? This is a group effort. Everyone who's watching. So, you know, by all means, let's hear your comment. You know, but broken to built. That kind of saw it. I was just surfing through some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it came to mind. You know, it was talking about, you know, how they put on the extra sauce. The black community is broken, right? I was like, wow. It's, to me, it's not broken. I think that we not, as a group, we don't cooperate the way that we should. And you know, you always got to consider personalities and all the different things that jumbled in there. Why there's no cooperation? But I think we isolate ourselves purposely, because I think we feel like we're safe, right? So in that aspect, in my mind, that's broken because we don't have that communicating bond. We will come to each other's aid when we feel the need to, right? But we don't stay. Now, this is my opinion when I say this. See, this is what I'm saying. This is my view. And when I say we stay, this is not how I feel, is what's been told to us, indirectly and directly.
So when you say we don't stay, what do you mean? What do you mean stay?
Um, Come together for a community project, right? This is just an example to answer your question. Come together for a community project, right? And then it's somebody who's spearheading it. But everybody's coming because they see that it's working. And after a while, even though it's continued to work, people drop off steadily because life be life. And they don't spin the block. So that's basically what I mean is we we show up, but we don't spin the block. And if we do spin the block, we have a critique about it. Now, this is not my own personal feelings. What it is the simple fact that my attempt to find an answer to why we are surviving this BS when it comes to our community. When I say surviving this BS, I'm talking about harm verbally is always pointed towards our community through our social media, through our written word, our entertainment. It's always pointed towards us. That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
I've heard the argument made that considering everything our community's been through, I mean we're hypersensitive to everything, and I mean we become as an entity we become too adept at surviving
We
because
can't move.
I mean
Yeah.
we too adept at surviving because when you look at the world, the history of the world, I mean there are pockets of people who started out like we started out, and they've been wiped out. They're gone,
Mm,
and it certainly didn't take 450 years.
yeah.
So the grand architect of this fucked up scenario that we in is like, what do I got to throw at these people? And nobody likes to, no, nobody really likes to hear a survivor talk shit. You know what I mean? Don't
Yeah.
nobody give don't nobody give Nobody give you points for living through a fucked up situation. Not really. You know, look what happened to the Jews. You
Okay.
know, Jewish history. You know, well, that's probably a bad example. That's probably a bad
Yeah,
example.
try it though. So put.
Okay, I mean,
All right.
from what
I mean,
from our point of view, if you look at the things that we've heard about the persecution of the Jews throughout history or whatever, I mean, why are they still here?
all right.
Somebody somewhere in some kingdom or some fucking principality somewhere has always tried to erase the Jews.
Okay. Let me just throw this in. I agree with you saying, but there's a difference between European Jewish.
I know that's
I just want to
I'm
throw that out there
I'm
because
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want the blogosphere to know that that's why I wanted to stop because you know what I mean. But go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
yeah, but
sorry.
here's my point. Here's my point. The European Jews have every reason from the Holocaust to band together to make sure it never happens again.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the Hebrews in the African continent, because I use the Middle East still African, have every reason, right, to band together and hold on to their faith also. Because, just as you said, in both cases, someone tried to exterminate. That's fair to say, right? So we can move on for that because, like I said, it's all you could definitely go into the history of everything, and it's all a personal point of view. But that's why I wanted you to keep going because I know that what you wanted to do is use an example, and it was a good example, But I wanted to throw that in there simply because it gets ignored. It gets ignored. You know what I'm saying?
Like it's an action movie, you know, where the villain is like kicking the hero's ass, and at one point he just grabs his collar and yells in his face, "Why won't you die?
Hmm.
Why won't you die?" You know, when the world is thrown everything, including the kitchen sink full of dog shit at you, and you
Yeah,
still keep on ticking. Eventually, you know, you're gonna lose fans, man.
yeah.
You're gonna lose fans, you know, because they want to see something different.
I
But
agree.
this is life. This is life, you know, and the the changing of the guards, man, that means death to us. If you know if we don't progress as a people and take a certain position, a certain financial position, a certain materialistic position in regards to real estate and hell, food food production and a bunch of other shit that's related to survival or whatever. If we don't start to create those things in our own community, I mean, you know, we're just not going to have some of that stuff. It's as simple as that.
I
You know,
think, yeah,
you hear
survival.
about yeah,
Good.
you hear about all these black people who are starting to go on trail rides, you know, and all that stuff, and they're learning stuff on these trail rides. They're being exposed to different things on these trail rides, and at the end, you know, everybody's singing boots on the ground. So it looks like a party.
I mean, everybody, if you're paying attention, you know what boots on the ground mean. But
Hey,
listen, I'm in the South.
mm-hmm,
Trail rides have existed for decades, bro.
mm-hmm,
And there are people participating in this all the time because you got to understand Most people don't understand there are more black farmers and cowboys than is being portrayed in this country.
I don't think the numbers have ever changed, man.
No, I don't think so either. You know what I mean? You know, farmers as far as agriculture, all these different things, growing their own food and doing that. That is here. I think, you know, I hate to give her this, man, but what Beyonce did was get the women involved in the cowboy movement. You know what I mean? Because you gotta think about it. First, it was the little sparkler thing. You remember that? Like the women 2 years ago, the lady, the sisters was dressing up in a nice, shiny neon stuff and going to a Beyonce concert. Then she came out with the Cowboy Nose album. Now they're wearing boots. You know, the sisters is wearing boots and all these different things. And I'm not saying that, you know, she's on the forefront of the revolution. No, what I'm saying is a lot of times, if a brother say it, he can convince brothers, right?
Mhm.
But if the sisters are not on the same accord, uh, what am I listening? What I'm trying to say? If the sisters are not on the same accord as the brother, you're looked at as a outlier. The brother is looked at as an outlier, right? But as soon as brothers and sisters on the same accord, it's a movement because we're supposed to be together. You understand what I'm saying to you? We're supposed to be together, but we get the same BS, and a lot of it has to do with what we're on right now. You know what I'm saying? For comedy, for pain, you know what I'm saying? For brainwashing, for all these different things, we see certain things. So what they call it clickbait. You know what I'm saying? And it pushes us apart. I was watching. Well, let me finish this, Jaquan. So, broken was one part, right? Broken can, you know, you're looking at trauma, uh, stagnation, um, hopelessness, mixed in with you moving forward, trying to, because it's here, you know, and from broken to built, right? Built meaning what? What does built mean to you? Because that's the opposite of broken. What does built mean to you, Jaquan?
Realistically, man, built to me means uh, uh, functioning despite the shit that I've been through.
Okay.
You know, and I'm not saying that people who crash out or people who give up on a situation have had have ceased to try. I'm not saying that at all. Life is going to life. It's as simple as that. There's no cure for it. There's no cure for the traumas and all the shit that we go and lay on the therapist's couch for. There's no cure for it. Absolutely no cure for it. The pills they give you, it numbs a certain part of the brain, does something to the brain that kind of like overrides the feeling you get, the feeling of dread you get when you get in a certain mindset. There's no cure for that. Only cure is death. Only cure for life is death. So we're not. I don't think it's a good thing for us to search for cures. You know, or ways to fix our trauma. They're a part of us. They're definitely a part of us, and they make us who we are, and they encourage us to move the way that we move. Is it always healthy? No, but I can give you several instances where an unhealthy exercise may have saved a life.
Got you. I got you. You gotta think about it, right? in my opinion, we look for the perfect role models, right? Instead of
Okay.
relatable role models that are not perfect, but they're moving in the right direction. Relatable, because we indirectly, and I don't think we understand this is what we do. When we move into a direction, we can run into the perfect role model, right? But if we don't relate to them, when I say relate, I'm not talking about their success, but we don't relate in how they stand, how they speak, whether they're white or black, how they speak, how they deal with other people. We don't relate to them. We're not going to get the full message. So, relatable to me, the key is relatable role models. You know what I'm saying? The relatable role models I had was our grandfathers, our dad, our mom, our aunts, our uncles. Relatable role models. You know what I'm saying? Where that's a part of being built. That's one of the bricks of being built is, in my opinion, about built. The word from broken to built is always in the process of building something up. You're looking for the T instead of the D to build and to build. That's built. So that's always the role. That's always the goal. That's always what you're looking for. So from broken to built.
But
Broken,
built,
go ahead.
but again, not to contradict you, but built is past tense, isn't it? So it represents an end.
Okay. It's the representation of the end, but you could be still moving forward, and part of you has been built. Your self-esteem, you know what I'm saying? Your drive. That you can, while you're in the process of moving forward and building, that part of you is built. That gets you up in the morning. Your drive, your optimism, your faith. That's built. You feel me?
Mhm.
You know, this is how I see it. Where no, we never. I'm retired, and I know my life didn't end after I retired. You know what I'm saying? Because I invested into this podcast with you and Damon. Because I know this is my. Excuse me for being unprofessional, but I'm up here looking all muscular with it. But it's hot in this room. I'm sorry, folks. But I know that was my aim. That was my goal to promote both you guys because you guys always have had a great viewpoint of life. And then every family member and every guest that we had, friends or foes, always had a unique. That's why this is how I picked them. And I'm sure you picked the ones that came on the same way. I wanted the world to hear them. I wanted them to hear their success stories. I wanted them to hear how they were broken and how they built certain part of themselves so they can continue building.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, not every success story needs to end with bells and whistles and firecrackers and sparklers and shit, man. You know, what I mean, just a person just waking up, man, and being able to maintain themselves through the day. That's a success story for some people.
yeah.
So, I mean, it falls in degrees and shit. You know.
It's always a beginning, right? Waking up is the beginning miracle. Waking up is the beginning of the miracles of your day. No matter what happens after that, God gave you a miracle to wake up. You know why I say that? Because how many times we had people that we love go to sleep and not wake up the next day.
That was it.
So that's a miracle. I hear people say it all the time, and I agree with it. That is a miracle.
Yeah.
Especially when we older, Jaquar, when we got everything to lose. Old heads, men and women got everything to lose. You know why? Because they got all that past that they built up, especially when they are somewhat happy with their lives. So they got a lot to lose. So you appreciate stuff like that. When we were young and shit, how many times me, you, and Damon went to the bar when we was in our 20s and shit? Went to the bar, you know, drove home that night, woke up, and got up laughing,
Yeah.
even though we was ripped to boom. Got up laughing about what happened the night before.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's man. That
Hell,
is grateful for a blessing.
hell, this time of year, man. When I was a kid, during my best summers, during the days of my best summers, man, I didn't I didn't realize or believe that those times would ever end.
Yeah,
But shit, that I turned 18 years old and I never had a summer again. So you know what I mean? That's what it is. Shit changes. I mean, and we have hard beginnings of change throughout our whole lives, man. All of our rites of passage, is a harbinger to something else.
yeah,
High school graduation, man. It's the springboard for the rest of your developmental life.
it
You
is.
know, 16 years old, you're gonna start driving. You're gonna start, being able to be self mobile, to get yourself, from here to there on your own. And I don't think we pay proper attention to those milestones anymore. We do things like uh, have coming home parties, for people who get out of jail. Now, yeah, that has merit. Don't
It's
get
a
me wrong.
it's a place for that. That's real.
There's a place for it. There's a place for it. But I I just don't know that I agree with the message that it sends. Yeah, I'm happy that you're home. I'm happy that you made it through that stress and strife and everything. But in the meantime, have you learned anything that's going to keep you from repeating that mistake?
Gotcha. So let me ask you a question. Um, we've been around. That was. Uh, I hate when I get into these resume things because our dad was just. He was a loving, flawed individual. Meaning, I understood him the majority of the times, and sometimes I didn't. And when I became a father, I started to look at him through a different lens. You want to know why? Because him being him getting up and going to work with my mom every morning, 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. They out the house by 5:30, drinking coffee and shit. They gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about spring, winter, and fall. That's what it was, right? But knowing he couldn't leave them streets alone. You know what I'm saying? I had a hard time at first. Now, was I angry at him? No. Did I look down at him? No. I didn't understand.
Mhm.
Then one day he and I had a talk. And he didn't try to clear up nothing with me. But what he did for me, I don't know if he did it for you, but at a young age, as much as I respect him, because I did whatever him and our mom wanted me to do. You know that, right? But what he also did was give me the ability to express myself. Say what's on your mind, son. I heard it all the time. And I expressed myself. So I hit him with the why? Why this? Why that? He looked at me and said, son, you think I'm gonna justify what I did or where I am with things? No, I'm not gonna do that. He said, what I'm doing is I'm telling you I made my own decision to do this. So with me making my own decision, and this was deep for me, with me making my own decisions, right, I lived with the consequences. So I didn't, it didn't make me, I didn't resolve anything, but what it did was I respected what he said because I always believed everything he told me. I believe he never told me a lie. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I strove to be when it came to my sons and my nieces and nephews and all the youngins out there, uh, boys and girls. Yo, I'm gonna give you the honest me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna sit up here. I'm gonna let you go ahead and chime in, but this ain't about being raised by our dad. You know what I mean? It's a part of built from broken to built. That was my transition.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able, well, if you're blessed with a teacher who's savvy enough to understand that, there's uh there's a societal image of life that we have, uh that everybody aspires to, the American dream, the white picket fence, was it 2.5 kids, and chicken in every pot. Yeah, I mean, that's ideal and very well achievable, in certain times in history or whatever. But simple fact is, for the most part, you're not going to be all right. You're not going to be all right. Not every day,
Yeah,
you know. But you can't lay down either.
yeah.
You got to play hurt, bro. You gotta you
Relate.
gotta you gotta do it scared. All those catchphrases. You
Yeah.
have to.
Relatable role model.
And I
Relatable.
don't. Yeah, and I don't even think it's necessary for him to be relatable. I don't need to see me uh on a pedestal, putting out a reasonable message. I mean, yeah, of course I want I'd like to see our leadership uh, well starched and back straight and articulate and all that other shit. Yeah, I mean, but if it's a good idea, I don't think it's necessary.
I see what you're saying. I think Reed's RC said I think you got to play hurt. Because if it's
Yeah.
play hurt, I feel that. I feel that. You
Mhm.
got to get up, and especially if you could go. You got to get up and you got to go. It's no doubt about it. Because really and truly, that nobody, somebody wants to wait on you. They want you to succeed, but they can't afford to wait on you for too long.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So, yo, man, I'm gonna move ahead, but let me know if you need me to double back on you. You feel what I'm saying? But right now, damn, we both gotta win.
Mhm.
You know, uh, I've always been a giver. You know what I'm saying? Give knowledge, give. If I got my tools infused in my pocket, I give that. You know what I mean? Because I understand what it means to not have any. You know what I'm saying? I've always understood that, man. And it's like, shit, I don't want nobody to feel this way. Now, I'm going to raise my eyebrow when I say, I ain't no sucker.
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But I hate to see people without, man.
Mhm.
I really do. You know why? Because I think a lot of people use the excuse not to care. You
Right,
know,
right.
you know.
Which that reminds me, like, was it last weekend? After we, yeah, last weekend after we got off the podcast that last Friday, I got up and I went and I played my numbers and everything. You know, I got me a six pack. I was coming home, and as I walked out the store, there was this dude outside. You know, he asked me, you know, if I had some change. You know, I'm like, you got to plant seeds for, you know, your blessings and your good fortune and your luck or whatever, right? So I ain't had nothing but a $5 bill. So I gave him the $5 bill.
Uh-huh.
You know, dapped him down. I said, you be safe, brother. I turned around and leave. He said, you know, I could use one of them beers too. And I joked it. And I turned around and I looked him in his eyes and I walked back up to him because that offended me. It really did,
I
brother.
would. It would have offended me too.
Yeah, I just gave you $5, bro. And I ain't like his tone either. You know, I could use me one of them beers. Oh, for real? Why don't you take the motherfucker then, bro? You know? And I told him, you trying to pimp now, man. I don't like that shit. Oh, it ain't like that, big dog. Yeah, well, tell me what it's like then. Because you just changed it. I've done enough for you, sir.
Yeah,
I've done enough for you, man.
yeah.
Now, you just said, you know, from now on, I hope this exchange, you know, shows you that if somebody's generous, you need to let them go on about their fucking business,
Yeah.
you know? Because it's a fine line in that. You're not going to use me up.
You know,
You're not going to use me up.
and that's a great point. That's a point. And why I say it's a great point is some people really, and I say some people really smell themselves like they like in your instance. I think in this man's mind was, you know, he'd hoped for the full gambit, the $5, right, and a beer. And the thing about it, depending on how I felt, I think I would have been offended just like you. For the simple fact that I gave you enough to get you a beer and you had money left over to get what you was getting. See, what is hard to do, and I push myself past it, when I see panhandlers, it's hard to it's hard to just ignore them if I got a couple dollars in my pocket. It's hard for me. You know what I'm saying?
It's not hard for me, man, because I look out. Like that instance or whatever. I look
No,
out.
no, no, no. I'm sorry.
You know?
Don't get my point. Don't get me mixed up. What I'm saying to you is this: I understand what you did completely. I understand why you was offended. What I meant by it's hard for me is if I got money in my pocket, I'm gonna give it to you. But first of all, my response to that man is, hey, get your own and walk away. Because just like I said, some people put themselves in that position. Like the majority of homeless people are in need of medication. I didn't know that. And some homeless people get kicked out of their homes or lose their jobs and lose their homes and stuff like that, right? But the majority of them are out there who need medicine, bipolar, schizophrenic, all these different things. And that's what's going on with them. You feel me? And that's a problem. Like, man, how do you solve that problem?
Right. That
You know?
issue, and I did a group today, you know, in my job. Well, I did a couple groups today in my job, and about teen dating violence, right? and I read a statistic. It really fucked me up, man. It said that half of the women and children in this country are unhoused. Half of the unhoused women and children in this country are unhoused due directly to physical violence in their relationships. Half of the women and children. First of all, the number of women and children who are unhoused in America is fucking astronomical. But to think that half of them are there due to goddamn domestic violence, man,
Yeah,
and that don't move you in no way,
it's real.
So I mean, you know, I usually don't go out of my way to get no money to no man. I just don't. That's a bias in me, and I'm not saying that men aren't sometimes in a position to need that help or whatever. But if I look at you and see you as just as viable and able-bodied as me, and then I look out and I perceive your attitude to be fucked up,
Are
then
you
I
are
got
you
to
looking
address
are you looking for the fucked up attitude?
it. A little bit,
Here,
yeah,
look, stand up in his eye. Here, take
yeah,
this. Don't you flinch.
yeah. What was the butler name in Django?
Ah, shit, I don't know. He
Sa-
played
Samuel
Sam,
Samuel
Sam,
Jackson.
he played that too well. I don't even want to know
Yeah,
no more.
but the way he would look at you like, hey, look at. Yeah, but I mean, because I felt petty about that shit a little bit, man.
I got
I
you.
felt petty, you know what I mean? Like, damn, but I feel petty every time I got to check a motherfucker though, because I be feeling bad. But if I feel like I got to check you, then before that, before I start feeling bad, I feel like you just stepped on toes and shit. But fuck it. Hopefully he's still alive. I'm alive, so we was able to move past.
I You and I was talking about that. We touched on it a little bit, but Robin Walker, the historian, right? I've been running across him through social media. Very, very thorough, introspective man. Robin Walker, folks, YouTube the man because he talks about he's a black historian and he talks about things, right? Robin said that it is unfair the treatment of how American blacks in the lower economic spectrum are being treated compared to the islands, Jamaica, different places coming over here and from Africa, right?
Hmm.
Where they use uh they use they compare them to us and they call us lazy because they come and they hustle and they do all these different things and this, right? And this is something I found interesting, so I'm gonna share with you guys. And he said, well, it's unfair because those folks, he said, those folks from Africa and from Jamaica and Bahamas, they are the 10%, the upper 10% of their population from where the country they're coming
Hmm.
from. I'm like, I found that interesting. What do you mean? He said that they, as compared to the other 90% in their country,
Hmm.
they were they were smart enough and resourceful enough to come here in this country and kept that resourcefulness, right? He said, and this is the point he made that I found interesting. I want you to tell me what you think. And chat, please tell me what you think about this. He said it's unfair to American blacks because people people say, well, they can do it. The hierarchy. They can do it. Why can't you? You just lazy. You know what I'm saying? You just lazy. You don't want to work, right? And he said, you are comparing that 10% of these folks, special folks, right? Hustlers, entrepreneurs, the whole nine. You comparing those folks to the folks that been, you know, redlining, you know, all the, you know, just different things that we had to go through in this country, right?
Mhm.
You comparing that section of black folks. Then he said something very, very, very interesting. He said, now, if you compare our upper 10% to their uh, 10% that's coming over into this country,
Mhm.
he said, our wages and success quadruples them, leaps and bounds. He said, that's why he said it's not fair because you're not really and truly comparing, and it's just a view of his because, but the man is, you know, he's here the way he see it. And it made so much sense to me because I've always said that. You know, we always see a certain view, and and that certain view is always put upon us. How many times you heard, "Oh man, these immigrants is coming over here and they succeeding. Why can't you succeed?" Because we're not getting the same things that these immigrants are getting. Tax breaks, right? And then they trying to escape poverty, so they band together like we should. You know what I'm saying? They band together to escape not having to go back. So it's that mentality, right? So what do you think about that, man? I mean, do I need to explain further, or did you get the gist of it?
I got the gist of it. Before I started working my current job, man, I used to work security, and I worked around a lot of different people from the African continent, primarily like West Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, people from Sierra Leone, places like that. And I would have conversations with them about their journey from where they came from to here, and all the stuff it entails or whatever. Uh, and a lot of people from Ghana was I, I don't know if it's still like this or how much like this it actually was, but they were telling me that you just you just can't like apply for a visa and come to America. You just can't do it. There was some sort of lottery system set up, a national lottery system.
Yeah,
So for you to even be picked to immigrate over here, is some degree of luck, some degree of the divine, shining on you. That's how they described it. It was like them winning the Mega Million. So you coming into a situation like that, you starting out with a chip on your shoulder, like I'm hitting on all cylinders now,
it's a
and
drive.
then when they get over here and see, the air quotes abundance of resources or whatever, and they also see a way clear for them to achieve those things. Quite naturally they're gonna be like, well, I got mine. I just got here. I just got here and I got mine. Why you ain't got yours? Well, shit is different. Shit is different for everybody because I'm quite sure people, from your same exact bloodline, where they didn't have the opportunity to come over here, you know, they probably wouldn't be in your position.
Yeah,
They would be regular people.
it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Um, Lawrence says, outside of what cultures think of us, the question I have is, why do we feel we have to go along with the stereotype? What do you think, Jakor?
Well, I mean, because quite frankly, man, stereotypes make up. who we are. You know, stereotypes are extreme versions of traits that everybody that we all possess. You know, so at some point in time, the extreme caught a little more light than the regular did, and that became the image.
I get it.
You know, I mean, I'm not necessarily ashamed of our stereotypes, man. You know, I mean, you look at linguistics, man. Everybody mocks Black American speech patterns and the way we talk in some instances or whatever. But it doesn't matter how air quotes uneducated a person sounds when you get their point.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I can say the word misconstrued, and you know you laugh at my pronunciation, but it doesn't take away from the weight of my point. 'Cause you understand what the fuck I said.
Don't take away your point. See, you know, I'm gonna tell you the crazy thing about it is this, right? Um, to answer your question, Lauren, are we being told that we're living these stereotypes? Are we getting beat on our heads about these stereotypical things, or are we actually living them? Me, I can give you a lot of instances where the majority of people I met in my lifetime don't subscribe to the stereotypical thing. I'm talking about the worst stereotypical things. You feel what I'm saying? Because you have to think about it. Our community is subjected to some of the dumbest, unrealistic stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
And I can walk out my door in my subdivision without really trying that hard and count at least 100 folks in my community who don't live those stereotypes. Now that's just my purview. Now I know there's streets in every city where people take shortcuts. You feel what I'm saying when I say shortcuts? Because there's shortcuts when it comes to if you take a drug that makes you feel good to escape your problems, right? There's a shortcut when you're selling those drugs. That's a fucking shortcut. Feel me? In life, because you think that you are getting something out of it. There's a shortcut when you ignore and take advantage of people in need. That's a shortcut. You understand my theme in it, right?
Mm.
So there are streets and blocks, right, in every city you ain't got no business being on, white and black. You feel me? And I was a police officer, law enforcement for 30 years. So I'm telling you from experience, that's what it is. But whole neighborhoods get that stigma, don't
Yep.
they? Because there are mostly, I hate to use this word, African American. I don't want to sully it with black folks. African American neighborhoods. So guess what? You got one bad street in this neighborhood, right? Foolishness going on because that's the human condition, right? But that whole neighborhood gets that stigma.
Mm.
You know what I mean? This is
Look,
how it is.
look, you go to the black community anywhere in America, man. There's always somewhere that people have labeled the strip.
Yeah.
Everything happens on the strip. There's a reason everything happens on the strip. That's where it's supposed to be. Don't nobody really live on the strip. You know, that's where you go and you know you let your hair down. You conduct your business. You exchange gossip. See
Yep.
see familiar faces, and then you go home.
I'm gonna
So,
tell you something funny, Jaquan. It's the strip, it's the ghetto when it's just mostly black folks, right? But when you mix in white folks, right, it's the red light district.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the red light district, meaning they are going down there doing the same shit, right? But the stigma is on, okay, white folks is down here too. So uh, even though it might be against the law, the white folks is down here too. So we need the, it's the red light district. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, right? But see,
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
being a target of that shit, man. Because you go to any goddamn city council meeting or whatever, and they talk about our neighborhoods, man, like they're, what did the orange dude say, shithole countries and such, and never considered the fact they're the biggest customers.
Yeah,
For all this vice and filth and shit that happens here, it's brought here. First of all, nobody lives their lives like that naturally, but then you exploit it when you come down here as a customer.
yeah. I tell you, and you know what's so funny about Lawrence's comment right here? It says, and that's my point. We are so much more than what other cultures assume we are. This is why I stopped, because I used to do it as a young man, proving to you that I'm mightier than you. I'm more educated than you. I did that as a young man because I listened to the bullshit rhetoric, right? I never saw myself as a exception to the rule. I saw too many other intelligent men and women where I came from to say that I was just the exception. This is, oh, Keith, you're different. No, the fuck I'm not. I had to learn, I was taught to be this way. So I love it when someone starts to smell themselves, whether you're white or black, and you smell yourself to just throw a blanket statement about our community. I say, hey, prove that to me. What do you mean by that? You feel what I'm saying? Because I still do it, but if you speak it, it starts to take life upon itself. It really does, right? In the 70s, even though it was a small percentage of black homes that had single mothers, right? But that's all that was said, right? So if you tell a lie long enough, you'll get enough people to do what? Perpetuate that lie. Now we have more single parent households now, right? The most preposterous thing, and I'm just spitballing right before we move on. The most preposterous thing I heard when I was in college, where these was brothers who said this. Yeah, man, these sisters, and the white man started it. I don't know who did. These sisters are having babies so they can get more welfare money. What? Excuse my language, folks, but I gotta express this. What the fuck does that mean?
That Ronald Reagan welfare queen shit.
Yeah,
I, I don't.
it was an excuse, and people believe that shit. It was an excuse. Yes, the mother may get a little more money, not a lot. So you gonna have, look, you have children because you don't believe in abortion. That's how I believe. That's just what it is. You have children. So you mean to tell me that it came in a sister's head? Hey, you know what? Even though we got 3 kids around, I'm gonna have another baby so I can have another extra $100.
Give me another $100. Give me, yeah, I mean, for real.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
And this is stuff that we heard over the years. So, And like I said, I'm not gonna go way that deep down in that. I just, me personally, we our community, people have been throwing so much shit on our community and other communities, and including ourselves. We was willing to believe it. We was willing to believe it. You know?
But I mean, it's a blessing, man, that you get the insight as you get older, man. That you can't paint you can't paint a whole you can't paint a whole people with the same brush. You
Yeah,
can't.
you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Look, this is another one. This when I was older. I'm getting tired of paying my money so these people can live off the teat of America. Okay, it was this guy, smug, smug asshole, right? He said it. He felt comfortable with saying it, right? Because when it's involving money, people tend to ignore what is really being said, right? I said, excuse me. And this is somebody I worked with every day, right? And I had to exert my dominance, my mental and spiritual dominance on this man. Because I said to myself, when I'm done, he's going to hate me. Even though we work together, I got his back. You know what I'm saying? But he's going to hate me. He's going to hate bringing up anything around me. I said, how much do you think you pay out of your paycheck? Let's Google this shit. Let's Google it. Right? And at the time, even though we need our money, right? But at the time, I think it was maybe between $15 and $20 that you don't see. You understand what I'm saying to you? That you don't see. And then, armed with the knowledge that the majority of welfare recipients are of the white community, the vast majority. But that is kept quiet, and still is kept quiet. And I looked at him, and I said, I'm sorry. This is what I did. And I said this to make sure he knew that he hated me. I wanted him to hate me. I said, I'm sorry they took your cigarette money. They smoke like a chimney. So you won't get a pack of cigarettes. And I walked away. Right? And from that point on, me exerting my mental dominance on him, we worked together. They put us, just so happened to start working together. Right? And like I said, this is my job. So I got your back. And you better have mine. And we worked together as partners for 5 years. Right? And went through some shit. I didn't hold it against him that you was a redneck, mean son of a gun. You know what I'm saying? And when I retired, this is double back full circle. When I retired, he cried at my retirement. Now, did I help him to see that black people ain't bad? No, sir. That shit it was ingrained in him. He was brainwashed to think that our community is his enemy. And the reason why the government is shitting on him is because of us. That's basically how they think, which is crazy. But he knew that I saved him from the shit countless times. And I didn't hold it against him that he didn't like black people. Now,
It's a hell of a thing, man. I mean, it's a hell of a box to be put in. You don't respect where this person comes from, but he is prove to be your equal and more so in some aspects, man. And you'd be less than a man not to have, you know, a certain level of respect for.
Yeah. I just think that that's why I stopped trying. Like when I came on the scene, I was myself. I was a professional. You understand what I'm saying to you? I was a professional. Yes, I laughed. Yes, I joked. But when it came to my job, I was a professional. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of that. You know what I mean? I've never, which is so crazy because I try to be, I hate the word humble, but growing up, I had to dampen my confidence, right?
Mhm.
But I did not want to prove shit to nobody. Only me. I was my hardest critic. Fuck what you think about me. Did I get the job done? And that came from basketball and football. Did I get the job done? You know what I mean? And God blessed me to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth about it, man. You know?
That focus is a blessing. It really is, because during my time, on the field, on the court, or whatever, I never thought about the actual function. I was always concerned about the look, how I was looking, or did I look stupid doing that, or even if it was successful, did I look like a bumbling idiot doing that shit? Didn't matter because it was successful.
Yeah.
I don't care how ugly the win is. I don't fuck how ugly the win is, man. As
Win.
long as long as long as I'm standing there with my arm raised at the end, that's what counts for me.
A win is a win.
Yeah,
What's that little TikTok saying? Win is a win. Fuck it. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? I have a question for you.
Mm.
When it comes to how much support do you feel is necessary for men and women in our community to support each other? How much support do you feel is necessary?
Uh,
And you can think about it for a minute because my elaboration on it is I've always understood that all of a struggle, when somebody, when a man or a woman abandon their partner, there's reasons why. Either their partner is not good for them, partner is abusive, physically, financially, whatever, right? Or they don't feel that partner is good enough for them. Feel me? But in retrospect, what do you think is one of the main things? How much support should we give each other? Not just in relationships, but in each other, period.
well, I mean, it's realistically, man, as much as you can give, as much as you can give without hurting your own household, man. You know, well, well, it's not. I don't think it's smart to give all the way up to your last resource, man.
It's not
You
smart.
know what I mean? Because you don't work hard to create abundance for yourself, just to freely give it away. You know. That being said, you said it earlier, man. Each and every person, black, white, red, or green, man, is all has at some point in their life been in a space where they thought, you know, no, they've been in a space to where they it's been proven to them that ain't nobody coming to save. So with a person with that mindset, who realized that mindset, does extend an arm to to help out or whatever. They're doing it probably, with the notion of this is support. This ain't your living. I'm not your living, and you ain't hit a lick with this. This is temporary,
Mhm.
you know, and support ain't supposed to last forever. That's why it's support.
It's important until you stand
You
on
know,
your. Yeah.
now if you say I'll sustain you, that's a different situation because I got everything.
You make look
Sustain,
making that promise. You
yeah,
decide to make that promise, then that's understanding.
yeah. The word sustain to me means permanence.
Yeah.
Support doesn't mean permanence.
I think yeah. Superficially, I think when you hear if you're in the dating pool, right? When you hear a woman talk about you're gonna get my nails done, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do that. I used to be like, and I when this phase came, I was with my wife, or I had a girlfriend with my wife. Right? I never understood it. Like, so you want me to be nice? Okay, I'll do it to be nice, you know. But if it seems like I'm doing it, especially if I'm not rich, if it seems like I'm doing it to keep you, I
Mm.
don't want you. You understand what I'm saying, T? Now that's the stereotypical way of thinking, right? Because everybody need help. You know what I mean? But when I start to see young ladies have, and this is the extreme, on social media. Yeah, with the word brokey. Uh, yeah, you broke. You can't pay my bill. You can't fly me out somewhere. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I'm like, well, another. Hey, excuse me. Full disclosure, another blunt. So you want me to pay for the coochie, right? Is that shit gonna be like spinach with Popeye? Is it going to, when I eat it or partake in it, am I gonna be strong enough to beat Bluto's ass over olive oil?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And I asked that because I had two sons to raise. So if I got their ear, I'm like, look, do what you like, but this should not be an expectation. And ladies, if I had a daughter, and you can speak on it better than me, Jaquari, and Damon too. If I had a daughter, I would not want her to have that expectation because if she allows herself to, take the easy route, because it's an easy route, right? That's my thing. It's an easy route. Now this guy has this expectation, and it's not fair to her, and it's not fair to him. You know what I mean? Because people believe that when they do this thing, they are purchasing something,
Unfortunately, yeah.
you know? And I would, what if I had a daughter, like, baby girl, it's good to have your own, right? But if you find somebody that cares about you, take your time and build on it and see if they're the one. I mean, that's just my layman thing if I had a daughter. My son is like, bro, listen, do not get serious with a young lady and don't play with her unless you are ready and you feel she's ready. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always we've always experienced puppy love. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? And we've always experienced them kind of things when you tell yourself you're in love with somebody, but you're in love with their looks, you're in love with how they make you feel. You know what I'm saying?
The newness of the situation.
Yeah, you gotta take your time. Don't play no games with nobody. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
But that's why there's a lot of people who give you the argument that there's there there was and maybe still is space in society for arranged marriages. I mean, as cloudy as those situations are, you know,
But
it-
in order in order
and
for
I'm
that,
and I
real quick,
and I I'm not cheerleading for them. Don't
now
get me wrong.
I get that. Let me just throw this in there real quick. In order for that to work, those children have to believe in the tradition. Don't you think? But go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
yeah. I mean, all things being weighed equally, man. I mean, you know, it, yeah. I'm sorry, man. I don't really have a good justification for that. I mean, it's such a that's not even that's a dark issue. It's not even a cloudy issue. I mean, but having a scenario, man, where your life partner, your mate or whatever, you just meet him one day and hopefully y'all can grow together. You know, and skip the whole dating and courtship phase. At some point it might have merit.
I think so. I just think that they both have to be willing to really take their time and open themselves up to each
Mhm.
other. Become their friend first.
Right.
Guys, young lady, your friends, you know stuff about them because they became your friend. You know what I'm saying? You understand the personality shifts, you understand all these different things, right? And you make the decision whether or not you want to deal with your friend, right? Especially if it's man and woman, you're considering yourself being with them. You know what I mean? Because there's always attraction. You always got to have attraction. You always have to have that in the beginning, period. You know? So let me ask you a question. What is the most important thing you think men, when it comes to dating women, and it's spitballing, what is the most important thing to men, in your opinion?
Well, I think
Chat,
outside.
give us your opinion if you're watching this. Give us what you think.
I think outside of all the superficial shit, the looks, the chemistry, the attraction, outside of all of that stuff, man, I think the most important thing to me when I was looking for a mate or whatever, man, was it's always been loyal. It's always been loyal. Can I depend on you to be, solid? What I perceive to be solid in you? Can I depend on that all the time?
Gotcha.
Understanding that, there's, people are flawed. People are flawed, and I'm willing to deal with you, up to the point to where I see you now. But if shit gets hot, are you gonna stay at that same level? Or are you gonna spiral and be loyal?
Yeah. I like loyalty. It's a good point because I was definitely going to say it. Loyalty. If a man understand, and it's a big giant leap when a man feels that this woman is loyal to him, man, my opinion, that goes a long way.
That's it. Yeah.
Of course,
Loyal.
every woman think, which is part of it's about the cake and the icing. You know, your girl, your wife, and everyone else has to look good. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's the first attraction, right? But once you get past the attraction, if it's a permanent thing, I think loyalty comes into play.
Yeah.
You know,
And
um,
also, I mean, and just well, you know what, man? In my heart of hearts, I wish there was a gauge, man, to a gauge that I could use or people could use, period, man, to test certain shit. Because one thing I've come to realize about, interpersonal relationships, man, is the fact that, shit ain't never equal at the same time.
no, not at all.
So if that's what you're looking for, man, you need to police your expectations of what the fuck you trying to get into.
Is that what equally yoked mean?
I like to believe, yeah. But to achieve that shit, man, I mean, it's almost a goddamn gargantuan effort to achieve that shit. It's just never gonna, be that way. But I think growth is in the actual work of trying to get there. The forward motion, even inches to yards is still forward motion. And it's not gonna, like I said, it's not gonna be like that forever. I had a conversation with a young lady, and she was saying that uh, women don't tend to love men at the same percentage that men love women all the time. So if she's giving 30, then more than likely he's giving 70.
I got you.
You know,
But
and
that's I think that's just a human condition because if you feel like you are the star of the relationship,
mhm.
you're gonna do that. I mean,
But I mean, it's you got to give credit to the star maker though. You got
that's
to
real.
give credit to the star maker. I mean, if you're in a situation, man, where you're comfortable, you're being made to feel comfortable enough to go out and express yourself, and and not be embarrassed or give shit a second thought and be successful. Need to realize that you didn't do that shit by yourself.
Didn't do it.
You didn't do it by yourself, and that's in all things. Self-made, ain't as easy as it was back in the day. Nowadays, everything is too goddamn accessible.
I always you say self-made. Self-made still mean that you depending on other motherfuckers for your success, whether they're strangers or they family. You still leaning on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Now, also, self-made means that you have the mental acuity, the strength to to stay the course. So, I appreciate and respect it if you say I was self-made. Feel what I'm saying? Because you believed in who you are. You know. So let me ask you this question. I think this is the last question of the day. Is it fair to say? Well, let me give you the example. My personal opinion. It's not based on facts. But just the way I see how life is and all these different things. Right? We get we get too caught up on glamorous jobs. What I mean by glamorous jobs, when you say, "Hey, I'm a lawyer," glamorous job. Hey, I'm a policeman, not so glamorous. No, it's down the scale of glamour. Feel what I'm saying? I'm a doctor, glamour. You know, I don't want to include entertainers. because it is what it is. But it's a, you know, but that's put in the realm of glamour, right? Do you think our community get too caught up on glamorous jobs instead of going out there and making a way for themselves until that something else comes better?
I don't know if it's so much the jobs as it is the title.
Okay.
Because I mean, I know a lot of people with a lot of technically titled positions or whatever that don't make no money,
Hmm.
but they got plaques with their whole title on the goddamn thing. You
Yeah.
know, whatever drives you to be better than you was yesterday. You know, I'm all for it. But
Okay. Just
it, because the majority of people I know don't have glamorous jobs.
they don't.
But I know several janitorial technicians. You know,
Okay. Humor, humor us, right? Do we? And it's not necessarily your full opinion. Do we, as a community, care too much about glamorous jobs? Not having them. Okay, so restaurant workers, right? It's backbreaking work, and they always stop you short of getting full time. You feel what I'm saying? But I kind of think people look down on
they absolutely do, man. I mean, and for me, realizing that, through COVID and everything, how much shit uh uh cash register workers, fast food workers, anybody who deals with the public, how much shit these people actually take.
it.
Oh, but I mean, it didn't really register to me until people started filming it. You know, I mean, it's our society, man, with recording devices, man. You know, it's going to be the downfall part. It's going to be a part of the downfall of our overall society. But it absolutely sheds light on shit. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, people who you're around every day. You know, people you're around every day will go into a 7-Eleven and just act absolutely goddamn atrociously towards a person working the cash register, and you would have no idea, and until you see it on freaking Insta or whatever, and you see this person's face full mask being a dick for no reason.
Yeah.
So
I'll share a little story with you. when I first, when I graduated from Pitt, I went home, right? Not knowing because, professional thing was, I'm still trying to get there through the CBA and different things. You remember doing these different things, man, trying to get overseas. But in the meantime, I had to work. I worked as a janitor on the campus of the University of Michigan. Now, you understand, I just graduated. So, I was in the library. I ran into 3 or 4 guys that I personally knew with my janitorial uniform on. And they looked at me and said, "Hey, man, you not overseas? You know what I'm saying? You're not," and I sucked it up. I didn't hide from her. I said, "No, bro, I'm in transition. I'm
mhm,
trying, but I gotta work. I gotta work." Feeling a little shame now
mhm.
because the year prior, I'm in the best conference in the world, starting with so many prospects for the future. So I dapped them up like, "Hey, man, get with me," and blah, 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 blah. So as I was walking away, cats didn't know, the cats who didn't know me was like, "Yo, man, who's that?" "Oh, that's Armstrong," right? I said, And the guy said, "What the fuck is he doing being a janitor?" And it hit me like somebody hit me in the back of my fucking head. You know what I'm saying? I worked as a security job. I left that job, worked at all night security at a parking deck that was just built, right? In Ann Arbor. So I worked from 12 to 8 in the morning. I'm gonna tell you, God humbled me in so many ways, bro. And I don't like to use the word humble, but he humbled me. So as I'm working, I'm thinking I'm low. Nobody know I'm doing this shit and all this, right? So one day, a bunch of cats was walking past. This is about 7:30 in the morning. Work relief cats just got dropped off from the bus from the county. I knew 5 dudes. I'm standing there, so I couldn't. They caught me by surprise, but it was just a glass enclosure, so I couldn't hide. And they looked. They said, "Key." Now, these work relief cats, right? Knocking on the door, man. What's going on, man? What the fuck is you doing? Again, being humble, appreciative of the job. It was rocky. It was rocky. I was hurt and went through a mild depression because I was still a basketball player. Still had it. See what I'm saying? So one day, our dad picked us up. I told Dad I just wanted to share that with you real quick. He picked me up from work. So we stopping in the morning to get breakfast at McDonald's, right? So we standing in line. It was 3 white kids, these are teenagers, and 1 black kid. And the way they were talking about the people behind the counter, the black kid was the loudest, being derogatory, being all this. I got heated. And I walked up to him. And this first time my dad heard me curse, other than on the basketball court. I walked up to the young brother. I said, "Man, what the fuck is you doing?" He looked at me. His eyes got big. I'm 6'9". You know what I'm saying? I said, "What the fuck is you doing?" He said, "I'm sorry, sir. It's one of those, a relative." Got me even pissed, when it said that, right? I said, "No, you are, these people working hard over here. How dare you be a big asshole? Because you're trying to impress these crackers." Excuse me, but that's what I said. I'm just quoting myself. Now all of a sudden they getting red in the face, like, "Who is he? Who is he?" I'm in my damn security guard uniform, so they don't know if I'm a crazy man or not. So we waited in line. At least I shut them up, right? We waited in line. Me and our dad, Corey. We get up there. The young lady looks at me, and we just got, a couple, egg McMuffins and shit like that. Man, we left there. We probably spent like $3. We left there with big bags of breakfast sandwiches and shit. And she was like, "Thank y'all. Thank you very much." And I said, "Look, you don't need to thank me." I said, that little fool was out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? And didn't care, because I'm like, how dare you show your ass? Because you're trying to impress these motherfuckers.
Like, where your mama work, bro? Where your
You know,
mama work?
but see, that's the thing. He was acting like his parents worked at an affluent job. You know what I'm saying? You know the attitude with kids. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the key. You can see the type. You know what I mean? And he was going out his way to impress his buddies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's an example of the disconnect, because me myself, I didn't know that we was, as financially pigeonholed as we was. Didn't register to me.
I did.
Yeah. It didn't register, but it did when I was young. But when I was a little kid, I didn't know that because didn't really ask for shit. So the shit that I got, I always valued.
Yeah.
Right? But when I got older, man, and that's when I really really started to work on my judgmental nature because I'm like, look at this motherfucker got all this shit. You got all this shit. I used to be, I ain't look. If you had if you had 5 pair of jeans, I ain't respect you. I didn't respect you because you didn't know what the fuck the struggle was.
That's how I knew it. That's how I learned how to take care of my clothes.
Yeah, like I mean, like I got shoes right now that I work in and I wear all the time that I've had for over 10 years, man.
Me too.
And they still look nice. People are wearing these shoes,
Yep.
you know. Now coming from a mindset to where I didn't have proper respect for abundance to having shit, I mean it like you change, man. Hopefully you change.
Yeah.
And you don't find yourself, thinking the same way you thought when you were 23. And that's what a lot of us are going through. I mean, I think you might even mention it on last week's show, man. I mean, people are like a lot of people are mentally at an age where they found, their greatest success.
Yeah.
So you might have a 40-year-old dude who was popular in high school and that was his most successful time. So he still acts like an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
It happens.
That's true. I think that's why our childhood is where I get my giving nature from. Because you could go both ways. From having it to living that out, right? You could be a selfish person, right? Or be closed fist, put it like that, right? Or you could be a giving person. Now I think that's where I get my giving nature from.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know how it feels. Man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's been times when I secretly gave somebody some money. Because if you give it out on the open, if you're not with your crew, you're trying to big boy this dude. You feel what I'm saying? Even though you are meaning it, even though you are being genuine, if you are not with your aces, right, you're trying to big boy this young man or this young lady. So what I do is pull them to the side, dap them up. Got you, bro. You know what I mean? Got you, girl. We good. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? And won't say no more about it. Because it was rare. I had friends that would look out, right? But there's very few of them motherfuckers. Let me put it like that. Let me put it like that. There's very few of them. I can name, which I'm not going to do. I can name 3. Like, no questions asked. They got it. Especially when they know I ain't got no money. They got it. You know what I'm saying? 3. That's real shit. You know what I'm saying?
In that department, man, I say it to the day that I die, man. I was always blessed, man. My boys, my men, whatever, man, they looked out for me and never gave me shit about it.
Yeah.
Never gave me shit about it.
You ain't supposed
And,
to, bro. You're not supposed to. If you got it to give, right? But see, here's my thing though. You said it earlier. I'm not gonna put us both in a position where we both need help after I give it to you. I'll get you started. You know what I'm saying? If I got it, I got you. But see, I'm not gonna take away from my family.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But I can get you kickstarted because that's reasonable. But if I got it, I'm gonna give it to you, so you don't have to worry that get rid of that worry. My goal has always been this. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. In my prayers, I always pray. Part of the last part of my prayers is for me to be a blessing on other people, spiritually, mentally, physically, and especially financially. Because that's the easiest thing to be, financial. A financial blessing. Goes back to um, giving, the homeless guy a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying? But all right, Jaquari, this has been a great show.
Good episode.
Lawrence, thank you for tuning in. Aunt Robin, love you, baby girl. Eric Harris, my man. Cousin Eric LaFleur, love you, boy. I'm so mad. I missed you at the family reunion, bro. Shit, I'm so
Seen
mad.
the pictures of like that. He had his daughter.
Yeah, I
too.
saw the pictures, boy. Yeah, it broke my heart, cuz. I'm gonna tell you, it really did. But I wasn't able to make it. But thank you all for tuning in. Little housekeeping, the Strong Perspective podcast. You see beside Strong Perspective is Cash App Love. If you feel it in your heart to help the channel to keep going, we appreciate it. We don't care. I'm gonna keep saying this. You don't have to, because we're gonna find a way. This is not a struggle over here. It's not a struggle to stay on board. But guess what? I want people, and I talked it over with Jaquari and Damon. I want people to take us seriously too. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to contribute, but I put it up there to let you know that we're serious about it. Any last words, Jaquari?
I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, man, and I look forward to the next. In the meantime, y'all be safe.
Be safe, people. It's all love. Go to our YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe. This episode is going to be downloaded on the YouTube channel tomorrow because I'm in transition. But yo, great episode, Jaquari. I wish Damon was here because I know he would have had a lot to say. But yo, you held it down. You held it down for all three of us. So it was a joy. And we here every Friday at 7:30, ladies and gentlemen. Go like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're 3.5 years going strong. We're gonna be here. Go to our channel, man. Just check out some of our shorts. And the long episodes are available. Just go through it. If you don't want to sit through the whole thing, scroll to the middle, because that's when we really be getting down. You know what I'm saying? And we some funny men too. So I want you to pay attention to that too. Understand our humor. Talent scouts out there. Understand our humor. We're funny. Jaquari is an actor. He's an actor. I want y'all to understand that. So if y'all got work for him, hit me up and I'll pass this information to you.
That's it.
This is Strong Perspective. Go ahead, bro.
I try it. I ain't done it in years, but I try it. Hell
Yeah,
yeah. Hook me up. Fuck that. Put me Tubi.
Yeah.
Come find me. How about it?
Damn right. You're damn right. It's like riding a bike when you're great. And you was great, Jaquari. This is Strong Perspective podcast. We're speaking it in existence. We're speaking the channel blowing up, speaking that in existence, and your acting career. We're speaking that in existence. We claim it. Oh, that's real. We're claiming that. We'll be here next week at 7:30. We love y'all, family. Strong Perspective podcast. Have a good night. Peace.